Running your own real estate investment business can be stressful, time-consuming, and difficult to manage. Where do you start? Why go out and try and reinvent the wheel when we have the answer? With our exclusive training program, we will teach you how to free up your time to build your business, develop your goals, learning where to find the money, how to find better deals, keeping track of offers, building a team, and developing a business plan that works for you. We at Real Impact Real Estate Training and Mentoring have all the answers for you. We have several plans to help you get your business to the next level. We have developed the best one-on-one personal training system in the industry. We have a proven structure that has been developed for more than 50 years through the purchase and sales of thousands of homes and commercial properties. We will help you set up and build your real estate investment business. Whether you are new to investing or you are a seasoned professional, we have a plan for you to customize your business to a method that works, is affordable, and fits your budget. With training modules like finding money, finding deals, learning how to get correct comps, building a team, short sales, subject twos, foreclosures, making multiple offers, understanding auctions, REOs, and tax sales, working to build your construction team and finding sellers and buyers. Find your property management team, plus over 70 additional training modules to choose from. Sit down with us for a one-on-one consulting to see what training plan is best to develop your goals and to build your business by using the 5 M's of investing: mining, money, maintenance, marketing, and management. Wouldn't your life be great if you can live it on your own terms? We help you develop and structure your business to take massive action. Join the Real Impact Real Estate Training today. Change your life today with real estate investing.
Good evening, Roger Pascal here, Real Impact Training Systems. Excited to be on the call tonight. Excited that y'all are on the call tonight. For those that may be new to this call, who are we? We're at Real Impact. We essentially build ourselves on improving the quality of people's lives through real estate investing. You know, we have several locations. We're throughout Texas and Oklahoma. Real Impact provides local real estate investors with networking and educational meetings and programs. Our locations are franchised. They're owned and operated by seasoned investors who we call Impact Master Trainers. In short, you'll hear us talk about IMTs, which stand for Impact Master Trainers. In addition to our monthly meetings and workshops, our IMTs also offer a variety of one-on-one mentoring programs that can help you no matter where you're at in your personal real estate journey. If you're interested in learning more about our training programs, please reach out to one of our Impact Master Trainers, IMTs. You can find the IMT locations and contact information online at realimpacttraining.com. Just click on one of the location buttons in the middle of the screen. In just a couple of seconds, you'll have several of our IMTs available to you to look at and get their information from there. So in just a couple of minutes, we're going to have Doug and Renee join us tonight on our call. And one of our primary objectives on each Sunday night is to provide you with an opportunity to ask questions about real estate investing. So if you're on YouTube or on Facebook, or if you're on YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe button and a comment area will pop up. If you're on Facebook, just feel free to comment on Facebook and it will come to us on our deal. So tonight we're going to be talking about building your criteria. What is your criteria? What are you looking at? So if we go ahead and throw Doug and Renee on the screen with us tonight. And there they are.
Hey,
Good evening. How are y'all doing tonight?
Pretty awesome.
Great.
All right. Good deal. Doug and Renee own the Impact franchise in Longview, Texas. And they meet on the second Monday of every month out there near the Longview airport. So you can go to meetup.com, type in Impact Longview. You can go to Facebook, type in Impact Longview. Either one of those will get you there to their meetings. So, all right. Good deal. So I'm excited about tonight's call because criteria is something that I run into, and I've run into this for 20 years. as being a real estate trainer and real estate agent, and working with investors, you know, it's almost every day somebody calls and said, I wanted to get in, I want to get in real estate investing. You know, what are you looking for? Anything, we're at anywhere. And tonight's call, we're going to be talking about how to avoid that, how to set up your criteria, knowing what properties you have out there. You know, I had a great comment from somebody a while back that talked about if you go on an evening after dark, go to the tallest building in your city, in your area, and look out at all those lights out there. Surely you can find a dozen properties to that people want to sell. So there's properties everywhere. You don't need to be looking at, you know, another country. You don't need to be looking at another state. You don't need to be looking at the, you know, the shiny thing in the window. We want to make sure that the people we work with have a very focused plan and know where the criteria is at. So as an investor, you're going to lose your realtors if you've got realtors or wholesalers or whoever you're buying from or buying through. You're going to lose them if you don't have a game plan put together. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So Doug and Renee, y'all been doing this for a while, and y'all have had many students that y'all have worked with throughout the years. And criteria is a pretty darn important part of our business.
It really is, Roger. And, you know, the funny thing is, you know, we've interviewed a lot of different people that have looked into our training. And when we talk to them about criteria, I'm astounded by how many people don't have any idea what that is. I mean, they just don't know.
Right.
And so,
well, you know, you get into this business and you think, okay, I want to make some money. And that's all good and well, but how easy do you want to make it? Do you want to make it hard? Or do you want to make it easy?
mm-hmm.
And, you know, I've had some students that come in and they start looking in the easiest place to find a rundown property, and that's the bad side of town. And that's fine. If that's what you want to do, then and you want to have to deal with those particular problems, then great. They're easy to bring down. They're really not that hard. A lot of wholesaling goes on in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people that invest in those areas, and it's again, it's not a bad area. How big is your cash flow in that? I don't know. But my criteria has always, it's been a pretty significant part of what I look for is the age of the property and the style of the property.
Yeah.
I'm not overly concerned about having a 3-2 ranch because I have 2-1s that rent just fine.
Yep.
And our cash flow, seriously, is usually $500 a month plus. So that's really kind of where I like it, you know. And you don't have to have as many. You don't have to deal with as many people to get that kind of cash flow. If you want to get $200 a month, that's okay. You can do that. You're going to have twice as many properties as I have.
Right.
The cash flow, we're working on a deal right now that the house itself will cash flow about $524 once we get if we can get the owner finance and or get the deal that we want, and then get the house fixed up and rented, then we can do that. But it's got an extra little building on site that would make a perfect short-term rental. And I can increase my monthly income by about $500 if I get this whole property. So I'm pretty stoked about that. And the thing is that I'm willing to wait to get the property that I want. I'm willing to wait to get the criteria that I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And it really doesn't have to do with size. It has to do with
A good deal in cash
a
flow.
good deal in cash flow and location. I've heard you say it before, Roger. You know, that people, they want to do a sub 2 and they want to make that money right now and they'll flip it. Well, you know, that's not the greatest solution with a sub 2. The better solution would be to wrap it with another note and rent it out and hold it long term. That's cash flow. So how much cash flow do you need? And that's why we set our criteria.
Absolutely. And you know, I was talking to a guy last week, and he was looking at buying a property, and he was already starting to negotiate on the property, and he did not even know what the cash flow was. He didn't know what the expenses were. He just saw a property, saw a price on it. He didn't know if they had long-term renters in there. He didn't know if they had short-term rentals in there. And on top of that, it was 2 hours away from where he lived. And
Wow.
it was a small multi-unit, but those are some areas that you know, I talked to him and I said, we need to really get these numbers and get these down. And that's what I've had to learn the hard way, is to figure out what that cash flow is going to be. Figure out, you know, and sometimes have I taken properties that are lower on cash flow because of other issues going on or other criterias or whatever? Absolutely. I look at it and say, you know what? They're building a Buc-ee's right down the street. This is going to be a new town. You know, when a Buc-ee's come in, you can always bet on that whole area. You're going to have movie theaters come in. You're going to have various types of shopping coming in, and hotels and restaurants, and it's a new community coming in around that entity right there. Same thing happens when they build a sports stadium or, you know, a new high school or something on that basis. It's got a lot of upside to it. So the downside might be a short-term cash flow deficit, not deficit, but a smaller amount of cash flow than what I would normally willing to accept. So, and then, you know, I think what we have to have, part of what we have to have, if CJ, if you can throw the slides up there, on the second slide we have there is, you got the last slide up. There we go. So is the second slide. Is that it? Why do we? Yeah. Okay. That's it. So, you know, why do we want to do this business? What are our intentions of making this business work? You know, are we looking to just create money, increase our net worth? Are we wanting to save for retirement? Do we want to be a business owner? I mean, those are just a few of the dozens of questions that we need to ask ourselves. Every investor needs to ask themselves what they're wanting out of this business. And it doesn't have to be one single thing. It can be everything. It can be a package deal. It can be, you know, I want to save for retirement. That will help increase my net worth. Net worth will help save for my retirement. I want to be a business owner. You know, I want to make money with this and what we do. So, you know, let me ask you this, Doug and Renee, why did you get into this business?
Well, I kind of fell into this business, but I had read Kiyosaki, so I kind of had an idea that real estate was a good business to be in, but.
And we'd already been business owners.
Well, we had been business owners, but we had been, if you know Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, you know that there's an E, which is an employee, and that's 50% money at best. There's a B, which is an S, which is self-employed, and that's not much better. It's got better tax advantages, but S stands for Superman. S stands for you have to be there
all the time.
You're the one that's making the money, and if you're not there, you're not making any money. And that's I've been in that position. Oh yeah, been there, done that. The B takes that same idea in the S and puts a system with it, systematizes the best system in the world is McDonald's. So anybody can make a hamburger, but McDonald's can make a hamburger and be in the real estate business at the same time. And then you've got the investor. So Kiyosaki taught the only reason that a business should exist is to invest. And so I was in business, and I turned it over to Renee and her cell phone, and I went out and started investing. And it's a lot of hard work, and it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's a get rich scheme, but it's not a get rich quick scheme. And you can do a lot of damage in a short amount of time if you don't know what you're doing.
That's right.
Absolutely. And you mentioned you kind of fell into the business. So did I. I started out this career. I ended a career in the auto parts business, and my wife was a realtor. I did not want to be a realtor. I did not want to find a new client every day. But I started meeting investors, and I said, I want some of that. I want to work with the people that are doing multiple properties a year and not just buying one property every 7 years. And so put together, got with the right team. First, literally, I had a handful of investors I was working with. They needed an education. I met Dennis Henson. We put together the area real estate investor group in Arlington, Texas. That grew rapidly. And but I got an education. I got a huge education from Dennis and from the people he's working with, and other areas, other entities out there. I've done a ton of reading and stuff, but like I said, I kind of fell into it because I wanted to work as a realtor with investors. And then I realized those investors this is awesome. These investors are going to change my life. And then I started investing myself, and it just goes from there. It goes, but I had to understand what I was looking for. When I first got in, I didn't know what I was looking for. I was bouncing all over the board. I was, do I want multifamily? Do I want to do rentals? Do I want to do, short-term rentals really wasn't a thing back then. So it wasn't an Airbnb thing. Did I want to do owner finance? Do I want to do fix and flips? Do I want to do wholesale? And I think a lot of people that get into this, they look at it and say, oh, I just want to do wholesale. Well, they haven't taken the time to see what they're wanting to accomplish in this business, where they want to go in this business. So, our next slide is what is your criteria? So, we must understand what our goals are before we can even, use our goals or set up our criteria. We've got to, as we have here, we must understand what our goals are so we can use our goals to set up our criteria. There we go. But it is imperative that our business is based around where we want to go in this business. As Yogi Berra said, is if you don't know where if you don't know where you're going, you're gonna eventually get there, or something on that basis. Doug, you may know that quote better than I do, but that is so true. Is we have to have our criteria in place. And
Roger, I think of this story when we took our kids to Disney World years ago, 12, 14 years ago. And on planning to go to Disney World, we put together a plan of what we wanted to do. We had to figure out how we were going to get there, where we were going to stay, which park we were going to go to this day, which park we were going to go to that day.
How we were going to pay for it.
How were we going to pay for it? We had criteria for that in place. And we planned and we planned and we planned for weeks coming up to this trip because we knew for us, it was going to be a once in a lifetime trip. We were super excited. And when you take that same concept and apply it to real estate investing, it makes your pathway so much more specific. And there is a pathway that when you know, hey, I'm saving for retirement, or I've always wanted to own my own business, and I work a 9 to 5, and I'm a slave to my employer, and I want to get out of that. when you know what your pathway is, it makes it so much more specific. And then as we take the specific criteria that we teach in our program, then it helps it to crystallize it and make it even more clear.
Right, absolutely. And I'm looking at a couple of comments here on our podcast tonight. And Pedro is, number one is you're absolutely right. As long as the numbers work, that's exactly what Doug was talking about a while ago. Is you got to look at it, make sure the numbers work. If you go into it and you don't pay attention to that, then it's going to come back and normally will bite you, and you're going to have a bad experience in this business and think that people are crazy to go into this business because you may have had a bad experience or somebody may have had a bad experience. Not you, Pedro, but somebody else. And then, you're talking about wholesale may be your entry point. That I hear that all the time where people say, I want to do this because they look at it and say, wholesale is going to be, it's going to be a way I can get into this without having to have any money. And I can tell you from experience that 99.9% of us that do this business, we're not doing it with our own money. We're doing it with somebody else's money. We're getting owner financed. Doug, how many of these deals that you've done? Hundreds of deals. How many have you done using your own money?
None.
There you go. Same with me. I think I've done a couple using my own money. Okay, just because I needed a place to park it. But almost everybody in this business doesn't use their own money. So they but Pedro, you're looking at getting in at wholesaling, which is fine. And that's a great way to do business and you can make a lot of money. But what you do today isn't going to pay you for tomorrow because you're not going to have that residual income coming in. And people look at wholesaling thinking, yeah, that's what I want to do. I'm going to tell you this. I know a lot of wholesalers out there, and they're the hardest working people that I know of in this business, bar none, because they have to find the properties. They have to find like 2 buyers for each property because one's going to flake out on you. And you're right. You use hard money lenders, you use private money lenders, you owner finance. You have people owner finance to you. We have one of our IMTs that's picked up a couple of properties by owner finance in the last 45 days or so. And it's just because we teach you how to explain to the seller how much money they're going to make if they owner finance the property to you, and it's a real simple process, but that's the process that we've refined in this business as Impact and those of us that are trainers, do that together. So, but like I said, and if you're wholesaling, you don't need for the most part, you don't need private money. You don't need wholesalers. You don't need hard money lenders. You don't need banks because you're controlling the property, but you don't own the property. You're just doing a pass through on it. And
Roger, that's one of the things about what we teach with our program, with our Real Impact training, is we get you out of just one style of investing, and wholesaling is just one. It's the bottom tier of our money ladder. Well, next to your own money. And when I went through our program several years ago and learned that there were so many different ways to do deals, I was fascinated by that. And then Doug and I, have kind of reevaluated our whole real estate program and said, we've done that, we've done that, we've done that, we've done every one on the money ladder except for one. And I'm like, this is awesome. We've learned so many different ways to do deals as a result of the training that we go through. And I just had a guy come in not too long ago that interviewed with us to become a student, and he's a wholesaler. And I said, well, look, you realize that you made $10,000 last month, and a few of those kinds of deals, and you're set to get the training you need to move out of wholesaling into some of these other methods.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, that's true. And Pedro, if you have any interest in being a wholesaler and you don't have any training yet, I just took a young man through our wholesaling program here, and he's killing it. Yeah. He's hit the road running, and not only, but here's the thing is that as he was studying, he didn't just study
He implemented.
But the thing is that he learned how to find the deals, and that's really kind of one of the big pedestals in our business. One of the big pillars is finding good deals. If you can find good enough deals to sell to somebody else, you can do what I do and find good enough deals to hold on to, and really without a whole lot of money. So if
that creates that residual income you're looking for.
And if you give me a call, we can sit down and talk about what your options might be. But it's a good program, and I implement so many things in my buy and hold business that I learn from the wholesaling business. So.
Absolutely, and we all wholesale. That's part of our business. We don't. I don't know if there are any or very many investors that do decent amount of business that don't wholesale here and there, because it may not be in your criteria. It may not be in the area you want. So, which leads us into talking about setting up our criteria. We need to understand where we're at with that and how we target that area, target that property type, and understand, that we need to map that out. We need to become, as I tell students all the time, we've got to become the neighborhood expert. And those are the experts that, we can drive by. I've got tons of neighborhoods that I feel I'm a neighborhood expert. I can drive by, I can look at the houses there. I know what they're bringing per square foot. I can look at a house and I can get relatively close to knowing what that square footage is from looking at the street or looking at, Google World, Google Maps, and see if they've had an add-on in the back or something, or it's gonna tell you what the square footage is on the internet anyway. But I can drive by, and houses in the neighborhood are going to be a couple of different criterias on the square footage. And the newer houses built after 1990, you're going to have, houses on the same block that are single story and two story, but they're going to be in a couple of different categories of sizes there, and they're all built pretty much about the same time. They're all going to be close to the same square footage, or two different, depending if they're a single story or two story. And the finish out's going to be relatively the same. And then you go back in the history and you're looking at that history there, and you're going to know what the property should be worth or close to it. So if you call the for sale by owner, or if you found something on Facebook, or you found something on another social media site, or even word of mouth, word of mouth from one of your friends or one of your contacts, you're already going to know close to what that property value is going to be, and not just be out in left field not knowing what's going on. So now, I invest in a couple of different areas. Y'all have a pretty large investment area out there. So, but we're always driving around. We're always looking. We're always understanding what we're looking at. Now, do things come to us out of our criteria or out of our farm area, as we call it? Absolutely. But we're not concentrating. We're not driving by 25, 50 houses to get to one house to look at. We're not driving by 25 houses that are for sale or potentially for sale. We're concentrating in that area. And if you're in this business long enough, it's going to be really disappointing when you find out that somebody sold a house next door to you or across the street from you at a deep discount, and you didn't know it. You didn't spend the time to try to build that relationship with your neighbor. So, and Doug and Renee, when y'all are looking at properties, y'all are looking at long-term rentals. You're looking at I think you've got a short-term Airbnb right now, right?
We do.
But you've got an exit strategy. If that Airbnb business goes away for one reason or another, you've got another exit strategy on that property, right?
Oh, I can get it rented in a week. Not a problem.
Long-term rental.
Long-term rental. Yeah. We could easily flip it just like that.
Just as quick as you could. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's every creature on this earth looks for shelter. And so that's up to us to provide that shelter for other people, for helping people live in a really nice property at a fair rate, and make that happen. So, when we're looking to invest, I have my criteria. I have my areas I want to invest in, and I know where that's at. And like I said, you become a property expert, and you're going to make that happen. So, so we're always driving for dollars.
There's things you do want in your criteria, and there's definitely things you do not want in your criteria.
Absolutely.
When Doug and I used to joke about the fact that when we first started buying some properties, it seemed like it was in our unwanted criteria situation that we would find an empty, abandoned swimming pool that needed to be covered up.
Oh yeah.
Every house we looked at, it's got a pool.
No, I've actually bought several that had above ground pools, and I had to fill them in.
Or below ground, but
above ground.
Didn't you have one?
No, both of them were above ground pools.
Okay.
But they have a dip. One of them in the backyard. Well, they were both in the backyard, but one of them, I walked back there, and there was a tarp laying on the ground. It's partly covered by dirt, and I thought, well, what's this? And I picked it up, and then there was a skid underneath that, and then on top of that, there was a bunch of bags of peat moss and stuff, and it's like, this was a pool.
Yes,
and
they tried.
Oh my gosh, they tried to fill it in.
It was awful.
And I had to take all that junk out of there and then go get some dirt.
And
fill it up.
It was a mess, but you don't necessarily want a swimming pool.
Well, but it was a great deal.
Criteria. Yeah, it was.
Just added more work to you. So, we work hard to stay away from things we don't want. Like you said, a swimming pool or a busy street, a war zone. What is a war zone? A war zone is where, people are doing drive-by shootings. People, our son, when he first got married, he, unbeknownst to us, but he went out and he rented a condo, and it was in a very sketchy part of town. And the first night they were there, 2 bullet holes went through the wall, and from the outside, not from the inside, from the outside.
There would be some going from the inside too.
Yeah, there you go. But they stayed there 2 nights before they moved out. They moved back. They moved in with us because, and then they had to fight with the landlord, and it was an investor that bought the property. He was an airline pilot. He had never invested before. He had other pilot friends say, "Oh, you need to buy in this condo complex because it's great. You can buy these condos for $7,000. You can buy this condo." And that's what they were going for, 1-bedroom condos. And there was a reason why they were only $7,000.
Yeah.
And because it was in a war zone, it was, just so much crime there. It was unbelievable on the amount of crime, probably the most crime, other than LA or DC or something like that. It was in the Fort Worth area, but there's places in Dallas and Fort Worth, and they're not as bad as they used to. They're not like it was in the 90s, but they've cleaned a lot of those up. And then, Pedro, you're saying here that you have, analysis paralysis, and that's why we have coaches. That's why we have mentors. Yeah. That's why we have other people that we can work with and ask them questions. Most of my students that I have, and I'm sure Doug and Renee have the same issue, or not issue, but the same deal, is they come to us with questions. They already have the answer 99% of the time. They just want confirmation that their answer is correct.
Yeah.
And
I look at this picture that you've got over here, Roger, and it reminds me of a house that I went to look at with a wholesaler. It was a burnout, and it looked about like that on the outside, and it was all burned out on the inside, and and it was in a flood zone to boot. So we immediately nixed it off our list, but you didn't know until you went out there and saw it.
Right.
But we knew to nix it because we knew, hey, we don't want a flood zone. We don't want a war zone. We don't want to burn out, because we had criteria.
Absolutely. It's just I said, it's just a crazy, crazy world out there, but we become a neighborhood expert. We know how that happens. We know what's in the area. We know what to expect. Do we have surprises? Absolutely. We have surprises. because we haven't been down that street or whatever. Something else that I found that investors love to get into is the largest house in the neighborhood. You really want to avoid that because, you're going to have to put a lot of money into it. And then you're going to be the highest price in the neighborhood. And if somebody wants a house that price, they probably don't want that neighborhood.
Right.
So you need to make sure that you understand that. And then on your criteria, you want to make sure, next slide, but you want to make sure that you know how much work that you're going to be putting into it, how much time you're going to be putting into it, and how much money you're going to be putting into it. And if you're wholesaling, then the third one there really doesn't come into play. But the how much work or how much time is going to go into it is going to expand rapidly. So those are some areas that we concentrate on when we're investing, is looking at it and saying, what is this going to take to do this? And then if we don't want to do it, then we're probably going to wholesale it out if we get it at a good deal. We're going to make all, we pretty much make offers on almost anything, and do they get accepted? Not all the time, but if you throw me a property, I'm probably going to look at it and make an offer on it, and if it's in an area that I don't want, like the burnout Renee was talking about, if you get it at a low enough price, you're going to find somebody that goes out there and that's going to want to buy it.
Yeah.
And buy it from you wholesale, you make a couple of $1,000s out of it.
Right.
How much work and how much money? I can answer that on November 19th.
Right.
So we're going to be offering a class on how to estimate rehabs. And not only is that important to us that buy and hold, but wholesalers need to know how much to tell their clients it's going to take to fix it up. And you're going to need to be pretty dadgum accurate, or they're going to find you out. Because I know I've looked at deals from wholesalers who said, "Oh, it'd only take $9,000 to put this in." Or Dave Dean telling me that, "Oh, it just take a little bit. You just fluff it up."
That's right.
That's the truth. It's there's more to it than just fluff.
So Saturday, November 19th, if you want more information, you could CJ will put our number up and you can give us a call.
Yeah,
we'll let you know.
Or you can go to MeetUp Longview, Texas, IMPACT Longview, Texas.
That's right.
That's right. And it's on there. I was looking at that earlier today. I was trying to figure out my calendar on the 19th. So, but yeah, the criteria is huge. You got to understand. And those are going to be different. Those three subject lines right there are going to be different on every property we look at.
Yeah.
And if we don't have the time, or if we don't have the expertise to do the work or understand that work, we either need to learn it or we need to not do that property. I had a student recently that looked at a property and they wanted to do a rehab, but it was an hour and a half away from where he lived. And I'm like, that's going to be tough. That's 3 hours a day that's going to come out of your time. There's Doug's number on the bottom of the screen. But that's 3 hours a day and then we wholesaled it out, and he essentially made six figures on the wholesale. He made over $100,000 without ever owning that house.
Wow.
And,
that's awesome.
So it was a phenomenal deal. Could he have made more money if he would have rehabbed it? Maybe, but that's not bad money to make. Now, do all the wholesale deals happen that way? No, absolutely not.
No.
No. But he lucked into a deal. He was looking in Garland, Texas, and this came up in Midlothian or Waxahachie, south of Dallas. And so that's where the house was south of Waxahachie, and it was an hour and a half away from where he lived, and that just the numbers or the time frame didn't work because it was how much time, and on the work it would have been their first rehab, and that would have been tough that far away and that much of a rehab, but he had a great area there. So then we go into understanding values. We got to understand how to find comps. The Texas is a non-disclosure state. So that means that when a property sells outside of the MLS, that it's hard to get values for that. In the MLS, you can get them from a realtor, but in reality, that's not supposed to be out there. Is it out there? Absolutely. And other companies have found a way to put that onto their sites. And you know, urban properties are always going to be easier than rural, because you have a lot of stuff to compare it to. And with that, we have the chart up here. This is one that we go through extensively in our training. And you start in the middle and you work your way out as far as size, as far as age of the house, you know, as far as bedroom, bathroom, garage, time from the last sale. You don't want to compare something that sold 10 years ago. You know, your house you're buying now to one that sold 10 years ago. You might not even want to compare it to a house that sold eight or 9 months ago. The market may have changed. And, you know, and you're looking at the age, and you're looking at the square footage, and, you know, everything on that aspect that you're looking at to make sure that, you know, in the distance from that house. You can't compare a house in Tyler to a house in Longview, or you can't compare a house in Fort Worth to a house in Dallas. It's not going to work. It's like, you know, asking somebody, what's the weather like in the United States? It's going to be different in every area of the United States. Housing is different in every neighborhood and where you're going out there. So, you know, and then third-party sites out there like Zillow, Propelio, and PropStream are other ways to find the property. So, you know, and then, you know, we have a, you know, somebody here and that lives in Garland. You know, if you're investing in Garland, you want to look at that. If you're investing in Plano or Farmers Branch or, you know, Mesquite or whatever, you don't want to compare a house, you know, 3 miles away to another house, you know, to your house. And that's what we go through, you know, extensively in our training, is having easy way to get those comps and understanding if you're using a realtor, you know, if you're calling a realtor and you're trying to get 5 comps for them and you never do any business, they're going to block your call. They're not going to do any business with you. So, you know, but we have a lot of realtors we work with. I'm not saying not work with realtors. I'm just saying be aware of their time, be aware of their investment they have to put in. And nobody wants to do a lot of work for somebody else and not get rewarded for it. Yeah. So, but yeah, those are some areas. Did y'all want to throw anything in there?
Well, so what we do is we do start in the middle with square footage. We go to age, and we use all of this criteria. But if you can't find that, what the next circle is, you go up or down in square footage. So
we talk about how to do that,
and we talk about how to do that when you're looking for comps on a house.
Right.
So that's how we use the concentric circles.
And also sometimes when you have a friend that's a realtor, or you know somebody that's a realtor, and they pull comps for you, you have to know if their comps make sense. One time we had gotten comps on a house that somebody was showing us, and we decided to drive the comps and check them out ourselves. And it was, I mean, as soon as we drove them, we went, oh man, this is so bogus, because they've taken one that was 4 or 5 blocks out of this zone, and it's in a totally different valuation as far as the prices of the houses near it. Yep. And he factored that in to make this deal look better. It wasn't a fair deal. It wasn't real. So knowing how to do this yourself is really, really important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And never trust a seller. You know, that's huge. You don't trust anybody else's numbers. You want to trust your own. That's right. Know, and confirm and verify, but you just want to be very, very cautious about that, and where you stand with that. So tonight's call, we've talked a lot about setting your criteria up. This is one of our lessons that we do in our trainings is because you can't do this business without knowing where you're at, without knowing where you want to be, and what you're investing in. You know, we have people call us consistently, and they're looking for that shiny nickel in another state, or another county or another country in some cases. Oh my gosh, I can invest there. Okay, have you looked all that up? Do you understand what's happening in the market? I've had people from California call me and say, I need to invest in Texas. And then they're looking at houses. I just had one this week. And she was, her comment was, do you realize how much this would cost in California? But we're not in California. We're like I said, we're not in California. We're not in Oklahoma, or in my investing, we have the winds up there in Oklahoma, and they know everything about their market. They know everything up there. And that's what they train on, is their market up there. Am I going to train on somebody in California or in Oklahoma City? No, absolutely. Or I'm sorry, absolutely not. So, so we have, another comment here from Pedro, and he's saying, he's learning that we work within a half a mile of the property and don't cross any major roads. That's absolutely correct, because that's what an appraiser does. And, sometimes a major road can make all the difference in the world, even though they're built about the same time. It may be two different builders. You may have a high-end builder on one end building the same size square footage versus a low-end builder that, has linoleum and the other one has granite and Formica on one and granite on the other, et cetera, et cetera. So, and Veronica says, I have no idea how I got here, but I'm here. I'm glad I did. So thanks, Veronica. That's awesome. So, and then Pedro, you're right. Apples to apples. You want to make sure that the properties you're comping to are equal to the same property you're at. And that's something we get from wholesalers often, is they'll send us a comps list of houses, and they're sending us houses that are 25 years newer or 25 miles away, right. That type of basis. So, and then we have a slide up here. If you're interested in learning more, we're not here to do the hard sell or anything like that, but we're here to help people. The more people we have in our areas that we're working with that are educated, the better we do in business, because now we have other people that we can partner with. We have other people that we can work with. We have other people that we come across that property that doesn't fall in our criteria. We can call up and say, Pedro, are you interested in this house? Does it fall into your criteria? Is this what you're looking for?
Yeah. As a wholesaler, it's really not about your criteria. It really is about your client's criteria. Mm-hmm. But if you find something that's just not, it's just happenstance. I found a lot of deals door knocking, and that's one of the better ways to do it. And I've got a method. There's method to my madness, and it works if you do it. If you don't do it, then it doesn't work. It's just like anything else. The more you do something, the better you get at it. And finding deals that are they're not on MLS. Nobody else knows about them. Right. They're phantom deals out there that can be found if you know how to find them.
Right. Just found one recently.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Veronica's on here. She's a wholesaler in Oklahoma. That's a whole different beast than being a wholesaler in Texas, because Oklahoma has some
rules,
kind of rules, regulations. Are people do people break those? Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of people from California or other states that are trying to wholesale, that's trying to, compete with Veronica out there, for instance. But you want to work with somebody that knows the area. Can you still wholesale in Oklahoma? Absolutely. And you just want to make sure you're following, the rules and regulations, and you're doing what needs to be done, and know what they're doing, so, and Pedro, he's asking if we buy properties out of the MLS. Absolutely. Absolutely. But the number, as you said here, the numbers have to work, and you're right. The numbers have to work. Has it been a great market for investors to buy out of the MLS for the last 3 to 4 years? No. Is it going to be a great market for investors to buy from the MLS going forward? Absolutely. I was so excited this last week. There's a realtor that I worked with a lot during the subprime days that we did a lot of deals together. She does bank owned properties, and she had a property come up. I had a client interested in that property, and I texted her and I said, "Hey, I'm so glad that our relationships are back. We're back on board here. Everything, you got properties coming up." And she's been very good at giving me information about where the bank is on that property. And, we can't get in the property because the bank doesn't want anybody in there because they're afraid somebody's going to get, toxic mold or something. I don't know what it is, but like I said, it's so exciting to see what's coming on the market now. We're seeing a lot of stuff coming on the auction sites. We're starting to see a few houses come on HUD, the FHA foreclosures. We're seeing some VA foreclosures. So
yeah,
we have a lot of stuff happening right now, I can't tell you the number of people I've talked to over the years that said, if I only would have had this knowledge back in 2008, 2009, 2010, when the subprime market was doing what it did, I would have been in a different place today. And that's the absolute truth is, if you have the knowledge today, you're going to do very well tomorrow. Yeah. And if you have the network set up, if you have your criteria in place and all that area. So we're excited about that. So we have a page here. It's a 15-minute call. If you're interested in that, you can do realimpacttraining.com and click on the contact us button on there. I've got a QR code on here. We're going to match you up with a seasoned investor trainer in our network. We've got 12 locations, and we're going to, because we know the area, once again, the criteria and knowing what you're buying. So am I going to be able to, teach somebody how to buy stuff in Buffalo, New York? Probably not. I can give them advice. I can give them what I know. But do I know the values? So they're going to need to partner with somebody in Buffalo to help them build those values. Can we coach them? Yeah, we can coach you. But we do better locally. We do better. We want you to plug into the REI groups. We have, like I said, we have 12 locations throughout Texas, one in Oklahoma City. You need to plug in with other investors, and that's how you do it. We're going to be going to, I've got my meeting Tuesday night in Lindale, Tyler. Doug and Renee have theirs. The 2 Mondays, the 14th. And
14th.
And then, with that, we want to make sure the people that we work with are educated. It just makes everybody's life easier. Veronica's on here from Oklahoma City. She's a wholesaler, or Oklahoma. I don't know Oklahoma City or not, but Oklahoma. I know there's more than one town in Oklahoma, Veronica. I'm sorry about that. So, that got changed because people were not on the same page. People were not in your court saying what value you bring to the table with being able to offer things out there that maybe the average realtor can't offer. People are looking for solutions to their problems, and they want to sell a house. They may not want to go through a realtor for various reasons. They may not want to fix the house up. They may not have time. They may not have the money. There's a list a million miles long, and it's people that are educated and knowing how to buy the property and knowing how to sell that property, or knowing what to do with that property, and then knowing the criteria of where they're at. So with that, call us on that. And then we have a couple of events coming up. If you're not familiar with Subject 2, we have 2 events coming up, one in Hearst and one in Addison. So the second Saturday and the third Saturday of December. And these are sure to sell out. So you want to be involved in that. There's QR code there. You can go to realimpactevents.com. And if you're out of town, Veronica, you're in Oklahoma City. The last one we did one of these in Oklahoma City up in June. And I had people from 4 states that showed up to Oklahoma City. We'll probably have people from 2 or 3 or 4 states coming to these events. So if you go to the website, it's going to have the various hotels that are in the area that you can plug into. You can get, we don't have a room block on any of them, but they're right there by where the events are. It's an all-day training. We're going to teach you, how to find sellers. People don't know how to sell a subject to, or they don't know what it is. They've never heard the concept. They don't know they can sell their house that way. Maybe they don't have the equity. Maybe they don't have the time, whatever it may be. We're going to talk about how to evaluate a property and how to make that happen. We're going to learn what documents you need. I've got a thumb drive that, you probably can't see in that little box here, but we got a thumb drive that has over 50 documents or 50 items in there that we're going to work on that. And that is loaded up in this thumb drive. You're going to get a copy of my book, subject to investing. And we have a workbook right here, and it's almost 100 pages, and it goes through the complete process of subject twos, making that happen. So we're going to help you learn how to deal with wraps, how to deal with your property taxes, how to deal with insurance, how to deal with the due on sale clause, and more. So early bird price is at $349. Bring a friend for $149. You got 2 friends, you pick out your favorite that at $149 is your next friend. That's not your favorite. It's going to pay $349. So, and CJ, do you have a video up there of Tommy that kind of gives a testimonial? Can we run that real quick? So Tommy, why don't you go on?
All right. Thank you. Can everybody hear me? All right. So I knew nothing about real estate in November of 2017. And I took a class, learned a little bit of the basics. Didn't know how to acquire a property. Like most of y'all, I thought, gosh, I have a little bit of money, but this is kind of tough. Where do I even begin, right? So I discovered Roger in 2018 and took his subject to class. I think it was in Fort Worth. And it was pretty cool, right? I mean, everything you're learning, you guys are just at the beginning of the class today. But halfway through the day, I started realizing, wow, there's really, really something to this. So I went out and I aggressively found the attorney, found the CPA, did my marketing. And that's actually when Facebook was actually working for marketing. And so my first year, starting summer of 2018 until summer of 2019, we acquired 26 properties with subject to in 1 year.
Yeah, and at an event, Tommy came to me at our morning break and he gave me that testimonial. I had no idea that he was that successful with that. But that is, it's not uncommon for people to go through our class and then they find out there's been subject twos all around them. They didn't know. They didn't understand how that was working. So, so with that, the next slide on there, we're going to, is what you're going to get. Personalized training all day long. This training is from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Lunch is provided. Once again, you're going to get one of my books. You're going to get the easy to follow workbook, and you're going to have thumb drive on there that has your backup documents. It's going to have your sales contracts, subject to addendums, power of attorneys, disclosures, letter of understanding. It's going to have some calculators in there to calculate your properties, to figure out how you're, if this is going to be a deal or not. What if I make it a rental? What if I do a wrap on it? How much money am I going to make on that? You're going to network out there with people that are going to be the servicing companies, the RMLOs, which is a residential mortgage loan originator. They're the ones that write your mortgage documents. Don't ever go on the internet and get a mortgage document. This is, we were talking about Veronica a while ago and what's happened in Oklahoma, and how to make, how she's having to work with that, not work around it, but work with it to make sure that the sellers are getting what they're wanting and the buyers are getting what they want. And, she's bringing that to the table. We want to make sure that people that are doing wraps, that people are doing this business, they're doing it right. They're not doing it in a haphazard issue where now all of a sudden we have a new regulation. we have new laws on board, whatever. So that's why we do these classes. We want to make sure the people that are doing these subject twos are doing them right, and they do them right every time. So you can either go to realimpactevents.com and register. If you're associated with one of our locations, please do the drop-down menu and say I'm associated with Longview or Wichita Falls or Waco, Denton, or whatever, Alliance, whatever area you're associated with or you do business in, Oklahoma City, whatever. Click on that, because we want to monitor that, and we want to make sure that if you're in the Longview area, that Doug and Renee are familiar with that, and they know that they're going to be there, and you're working. So we have 2 dates to choose from, either December the 10th or December the 17th. So this is going to be exciting. I love these classes. They're exhilarating to me, and we want you there. It will sell out, and we will have a price increase towards the date that we do these, because the facilities that we use charge us more if we have last minute registers on there, because we have to pay a premium on the food. We have to have a premium on updating or upgrading our beverages, whatever it may be. So we want to make sure that you're on board with that. Doug and Renee, do you want to say anything? You've been through a couple of these classes. You've done some subject twos. What do you think about it?
Okay, so first time I went, I felt like I was drinking from a fire hydrant. There was so much information, and I was still relatively new. But by the second time that we went, I was like totally on board. Let's do this thing. And within just a very short time after that, we did our first subject two, and it was very exciting. I was scared to death because Doug made me do all the paperwork and stuff. But
it's just like having another bullet in your gun.
Yeah.
If you have something that you can pull out and you can use that can solve a problem for somebody. Mm-hmm. Not every deal is a subject to deal, but every deal can be done. And we don't. We were talking about criteria. We don't let our criteria keep us from at least getting the property under contract, because somebody is going to want that deal. So,
absolutely, and that's why we build our network. That's why we know who the players are in our areas. And making this happen. So, well, good deal. So keep an eye on that, realimpactevents.com, or the QR code on there. You want to get registered on there. It comes with lunch. We have a couple of breaks in there. I'll have leftover Halloween candy, I hope. So we'll have some candy out on the tables. And then next week's call is going to be November the 6th. And we're going to be talking about putting together a great team, because there's no such thing as a self-made millionaire. There's no such thing as a investor that does this all on their own. And we talk about putting together a great team, and that is invaluable to your business. This is a business that you can have a ton of other people working for you for free. People say, how does that work? How does that happen? Well, you know what? If you're buying from a realtor through the MLS, that realtor is being paid by the seller. You're going to the title company. You don't pay them until it closes. You're using private investors, private money out there. You're not having to bring any money to the table. They're bringing all the money to the table. So the list goes on of the people that we work with and building that great team. I have a great team. The Tunes have a great team. All of our IMTs at every location we have has a great team, and you want to get plugged into your local REI group, preferably Impact if we have an Impact in your area. And we have one up in Garland. Somebody posted on here they were from Garland area. Veronica, we're in Oklahoma City. We meet, I think Oklahoma City is the third Saturday of the month is when they meet. And just look up Impact. Go to meetup.com and look up Impact Oklahoma City, Impact Longview, Impact Tyler, Impact Wichita Falls, Waco. On the bottom of the screen down there is where we're at. Plano, so look for our groups that are there. Look for our meetings. Our meetings are free. Our monthly meetings are free. So plug into those. We have elite meetings that are special meetings like Doug and Renee were talking about. that they're going to be going over some criteria of doing rehabs. Is that correct? Is that right? Am I remember right? And that's going to be on November the 16th?
19th.
November
19th.
9th.
There you go. So meetup.com is going to have that on there. You get all the good information on there. But we want to see you next week on next week's call. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach us on our websites. You can reach us on Meetup. You can reach out to us on Facebook. However, we'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. So with that, Doug and Renee, do y'all have anything with closing?
Not a thing.
Have
All
a
right,
great
good
week.
deal.
Happy
Thank you
Halloween.
so much for your assistance in this call tonight. Couldn't make it work without you. All right.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. So y'all be good. We will see you next week. Putting together a great team at 7 p.m. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Running your own real estate investment business can be stressful, time-consuming, and difficult to manage. Where do you start? Why go out and try and reinvent the wheel when we have the answer? With our exclusive training program, we will teach you how to free up your time to build your business, develop your goals, learning where to find the money, how to find better deals, keeping track of offers, building a team, and developing a business plan that works for you. We at Real Impact Real Estate Training and Mentoring have all the answers for you. We have several plans to help you get your business to the next level. We have developed the best one-on-one personal training system in the industry. We have a proven structure that has been developed for more than 50 years through the purchase and sales of thousands of homes and commercial properties. We will help you set up and build your real estate investment business. Whether you are new to investing or you are a seasoned professional, we have a plan for you to customize your business to a method that works, is affordable, and fits your budget. With training modules like finding money, finding deals, learning how to get correct comps, building a team, short sales, subject twos, foreclosures, making multiple offers, understanding auctions, REOs, and tax sales, working to build your construction team, and finding sellers and buyers. Find your property management team, plus over 70 additional training modules to choose from. Sit down with us for a one-on-one consulting to see what training plan is best to develop your goals and to build your business by using the 5 M's of investing: mining, money, maintenance, marketing, and management. Wouldn't your life be great if you can live it on your own terms? We help you develop and structure your business to take massive action. Join the Real Impact Real Estate Training today. Change your life today with real estate investing.